My paranormal experiences are something I think about all the time. They run my life. My name is Julia, and this was about 16 years ago, so around circa 2008, perhaps. My older children were around 9 or 10 years old, and my youngest was around 3. So that would be around 2008. We went to a friend's house who lived out by a lake in the country. We went to go visit these people, our friends. We got there and everyone just kind of piled out of the van. So there were children and adults and everyone was talking. We were all kind of sitting outside in the yard in lounge chairs. And I had a big lounge chair and I was lounging back. And I noticed a couple miles away in the sky, so that would be over the lake where our friends lived. It would be about over the lake is where I saw it at first. It looked like a big orange bird flying like a duck, as in when the wings go up, the body appears to go down, and when the wings go down, the body appears to go up, which I think that motion is called undulating, as they describe it when they're talking about Ogopogo and sea monsters swimming like that. So I saw like what I thought was like a big bird, and it was orange in color. And it was about 2 miles away or so over the lake. So I didn't really know what size it was, but for it to be that far away, it had to be pretty big, is what I was thinking. And I was just sitting there and all the kids were bouncing around and everybody was, acting all crazy and silly because everyone was excited to be there and everybody was laughing and having fun. And I was just watching this bird or whatever. I'm not sure what it was because it was orange. We don't have orange ducks or orange birds here in this part of the country, especially big ones, So I was just watching it and I just sat there and it just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And it was like nobody was paying attention to me. I was like, what is that? And nobody was listening. And it was weird. Like they weren't hearing me. I was all by myself or something. It was really surreal. It was like I was isolated alone in being able to see this. So nobody else saw it but me. And I was just laying there and everybody was ignoring me, when I would say, what is that? And I just finally laid back in the chair and it was coming straight towards me, above me about, oh my God, I don't know, maybe 100 yards or 200 yards in the sky. And it came right over the path where I was laying in the chair. And when it got right above me, a light became visible that was like a pink light that looked like a crystal maybe. Just like in that old cartoon Dragon's Tales where they had a little jewel in their chest that would light up and spin and they would go do their adventures or whatever. Like something lit up on its chest right as it got right above me. And I couldn't really see like a dragon head or anything. I just kind of saw this big thing that, like, by the time it got over me, it was probably about, I don't know, just guessing, anywhere from 5 to 10 feet, being that far up in the air. I don't really know how to judge the size, but, it was like 6 to 10 feet or something. So it was a big thing. It wasn't just a bird, And then the light on its chest lit up, and then it just flew past me, and I didn't observe it any longer. I was just sitting there stunned, wondering what in the heck I just saw. Why did a crystal light shine on its chest right as it got over my eyesight while I was laying in the chair? It was like it was just for me. Now, I'm a intuitive type, so to speak. So I don't know if I I can see beyond, I know I can see beyond the veil. I don't know if that was just for me, if it was in our dimension, if it was where everyone else could see it, or if it was in a different timeline. I mean, I would have to know more about quantum physics to understand that kind of stuff. So I don't really know, and I've never seen or know anyone else that has seen a dragon, but I've heard that there have been sightings of them, and I've seen other videos of something that looked like a dragon was being observed and flying. But that was a long time ago, 16 years, and I haven't forgot it, and it was red. Oh, and the reason why it looked orange is because the top of it was red and the underneath side was yellow. So that's my dragon sighting. It was very, very strange. I've always had strange experiences. Now, when people say they're psychic, or I don't like to use that word because there's a lot of negativity when you say that. I just like to use the word that I'm an intuitive, because I'm very sensitive. So I notice, I see things that others don't see. I hear things that others don't hear. Not constantly. It's not like a constant thing. Just sometimes, I guess it's when the spirit or something is ready to show you something or to do something, and then they show up. But it's not like a constant thing. It's just occasionally, for me anyway. For some, it might be every day. For me, it's not every day. It's just sometimes. One time I was at basketball practice with my daughter, and she was scared to go to the restroom because it was in the locker room in a really old school. She didn't want to go to the restroom, so I walked with her to the restroom. I opened the door, and I heard a little girl's voice say, "I'm really sorry." And it was real echoey because it was in a locker room situation. Old buildings made out of cinder blocks and whatnot. So it was real echoey. It was obviously really loud for me anyway. I asked her, my daughter, if she heard it, and she said no. But when we walked into the bathroom, we heard a loud spraying noise of water. So we walked to the back where the showers and the toilets were, and one of the toilets had exploded. I don't know. Somehow this water was coming all out of the toilet, of the tank area in the back or by the wall. And it was spraying everywhere, and there was water coming towards our feet, like I like to say in the movie Final Destination, where the water was coming close, and it was coming close to the electrical. And it was just like Final Destination with that water traveling. And she said she was sorry. So I guess she was somehow had messed with that toilet. And I actually had a cousin before she passed away who was a psychic medium. And she said that is so sad that a little girl's spirit is stuck in that school. So that was crazy. So I witnessed that. Another time, after my friend and my boss had passed away, I was crying, thinking about him because I lost a job and a friend, and I had to figure everything out and do something different. So I was feeling sorry for myself and crying, I wish Bill was here, all this stuff. And I heard his voice, which was very distinct, coming from inside of my chest, saying, "I'm still here, Julia," as if they are connected to your heart or your soul, which I understand resides behind your backbone, your spine, and your heart. I don't know what avenue he was able to talk to me through, but that's where the sound, his voice came from. So I'm thinking it's my soul, because we're connected somewhere else anyway. And that was really weird. I've had other experiences like my ex, the father of my kids. He would get things thrown at him while he was at work because he wasn't doing things right. And I suspected it could have been my father because he was kind of violent, as in throwing stuff and tearing up things when he got mad, not being able to handle anger and expressing it in these violent manners. So I kind of figured that might be my dad when he came home and said at the computer shop where he worked at that, computers would just come flying off of the shelf at him. And I'm like, I bet you that's my dad. And then when I confirmed it with my cousin, who was a psychic medium, she would say, yes, that was your dad. So I've done experiments trying to communicate with my father. This was around 2016 or 15. And where you just do exercises and then you can communicate with them, ask them, touch me on the arm or whatever. Just kind of a visualization, like visualizing them being there in your favorite calming space where you like to be in and envision them there. And then I would get touched. The touch from a spirit from that day, that kind, I don't know, it felt like a surge of energy. Kind of like, I can't really say like you're being shocked, but like a surge of energy, like when your leg or something jumps all of a sudden, and then my leg or my arm would jump when he touched it. It just felt like energy going through you. It didn't shock, but something was activated when he touched you, and it made your leg or your arm jump. I don't know. It's just really strange, but I've done some experimenting trying to communicate. I'll tell you one time when I saw a ghost. Now, I call ghosts people that I don't know. They're spirits, but I don't know them. When I see someone I do know, like a past relative or a friend, and I see them in spirit form, I call them spirits. So I saw a ghost one time. Okay, the cousin I was talking about that was a psychic medium, and I was telling you about the experience of the little girl ghost in the school bathroom. She actually lived catty corner across the street from that school. And she said the whole school and a lot of our downtown in that little town where we used to live was haunted as it is, because she was a medium. She knows whatever used to go on. She's done a lot of work there, mediumship work there. So I was at her house one time, which is across the street from that school where we saw where I heard the little girl ghost that messed up the toilet in the bathroom. I was at her house and we were doing some yard work and things, and she was getting ready to put her house on the market, and she was expecting or talking to me about someone to come by and take some pictures or put up for sale signs, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but she was talking about someone was supposed to be coming by. And one of the times that I was outside, we were gathering up some limbs and stuff out of the yard. And we were able to kind of look over the fence, even though it was a wooden fence, you could kind of see when you were back a certain way. And I saw someone across the street near that school. There is this old abandoned house and a field and, some cows and stuff, but it was abandoned and the grass was really high, I remember, because nobody lived in this house. But I saw someone like sometimes people that were coming to pick up their kids would park there, so they didn't have to go in the school line, to pick up the kids when they come out. And some people would just wait there, so I think there might have been a car there, but I saw a person like hunch over and kind of mess around like looked like a woman, but like she was like hunched over, like maybe pulling up a sign out of that yard or doing something. So that was the first thing I saw. And then we were continuing to work in the yard, and then I thought it was that same person that I thought was a person that was over across the street in the grass acting weird. I thought they must have had crossed the street because they were now on the sidewalk in front of my cousin's house. And they were like holding a weird equipment, like it could have been a camera with legs or something. I wasn't sure. But when I took a closer look, I noticed that they were wearing like an old-timey dress. And it was like black and white. But when you see a ghost, apparently you don't see their feet. And I did remember that it just looked like clouds where the feet would be. And so I told her, my cousin, I think that person's here to take pictures or whatever it is, because I just saw somebody. And she went out and looked up and down the street, and there was nobody there. It was just a ghost. And that was just so weird because I don't usually just see ghosts. And she was like walking down the street. I guess that, the whole area is haunted. My cousin was a medium and lived right across the street from the haunted place. So that's where they're gonna show up, is where people can see them. It's just crazy and nuts. And I told her, well, she looked like she was wearing a old timey type of dress and everything. And she was carrying something that looked like it could have been a camera with legs or a sign or, something. And she said, well, did you see the feet? And I'm like, no, it just kind of looked like clouds. I didn't really notice that. And she said, okay, it was a ghost then, because it was a spirit, because when you see them, you can't see their feet. So I was like, oh, dang, okay. So that was pretty cool. Oh, this one is crazy. Now, when you see spirits and ghosts, well, I don't know about ghosts, because I saw that like with my vision. But sometimes when you see spirits, you see them in your mind's eye, or you see them with your vision. Like you see a blurry thing coming out of a misty looking thing or something coming out of a room. That's with your vision. Sometimes you can see it with your mind's eye, but they're both real visits from the spirit. So when I say mind's eye, it's inside your head, but like as if there was a thought cloud in front of you a little bit, but up higher a little bit than your actual brain. It's like you see something up there, like it's a thought cloud. And, it's like a movie screen and you can just see it. So that's why I'm telling you that, because this is kind of how I saw this spirit, is in my mind's eye. So I was sitting in the living room at our old house this was all back when the kids were little. And my husband at the time, he had been passed out in the bed because he had drank earlier in the day and he was asleep. And I was sitting in the view of the refrigerator. From where I was sitting in the living room, I could see the refrigerator. So he comes out of the bedroom, which was on the other side of the kitchen. So he comes to the refrigerator and I can see him doing it. And he opens the door of the refrigerator. And then in my mind's eye, I can see my dad in the clothes he used to wear, like an old 70s striped muscle shirt with his little blue shorts that he used to wear. In my mind's eye, it's my dad I can see. leaning into the refrigerator like he used to do and say, "We are out of Braunschweiger and pimento spread, whatever kind of spread, the sandwich spread that was really disgusting. Both of those things are really disgusting, and we didn't eat that at our house. But my ex sleepwalked into the kitchen and knelt down and said that. But in my mind's eye, it was my dad doing it. So basically, the spirit of my father got in him and made him sleepwalk in there to show me himself. Because, I was trying to communicate with him and stuff. That's when I first kind of had an awakening in about 2012 and was really trying to communicate with my boss friend that had died. And that's when I was trying to learn how to communicate with my dad and things. And he basically made him sleepwalk into the kitchen, open the fridge, and say stuff my dad would always say. And I know I know my dad did that, and it wasn't him sleepwalking because he never used to sleepwalk, nor did we ever eat that kind of stuff there or have it on hand. But my dad would always go into the refrigerator and hold it open and say those disgusting things that he was out of that we needed to get at the grocery store. So that was totally cool. I thought that he could embody his body and make him sleepwalk, because he didn't remember any of it. He said, "Oh, I must have wanted some Braunschweiger." I'm like, no, that is not you wanting that. You were asleep. He's totally sleepwalked in there and did that and said those things. He didn't know my dad. My dad died in like 92. He didn't know what my dad liked to eat. He had no knowledge about that. So I thought that was super, super cool. And that's about the best ones.
If you've had a paranormal experience and would like to be a guest on the show, please contact us by going to myparax.com. That's myparaex.com. Thanks for listening.